The Paramount acquisition, merger, sale, whatever you want to call it, the saga is not over. This is probably like my 6th or 7th video on the channel about this story, but it may very well be coming to an end. I am happy to report. So, Skydance Media, led by David Ellison, who's pictured here, has revised the terms yet again of its offer to acquire Paramount Global. So the terms of the deal, we don't have like the exact numbers for everything. There would be an increased cash offer, which would include a $15 a share cash out option for Class B shareholders. So the way it works is there are 2 types of shares you can buy for Paramount. Class A would give you voting rights, and Class B would not give you voting rights. Currently, Class B shares are trading at just below $13 a share. So this would be like a $2 premium essentially on every. So if you have like a shit ton of shares, that could be a lot of money. But from what I understand, I'm not a stock market expert, right? But it seems like only 50% of those shares would be subject to that. So I'm not sure exactly how that would work out. But in any case, they've sweetened the deal on the premium that smaller shareholders would get. And they also restructured the deal, like I was saying, to benefit regular shareholders more, right? This is really the most important part of this revised deal, considering many prominent Class B shareholders like investment firms and hedge funds have threatened to sue, essentially because the original plan was going to benefit Shari Redstone, the owner of National Amusements, which has the controlling interest of Paramount. The original deal was really going to benefit her at the expense of those Class B shareholders. So they were basically going to sue, being like, you are not fulfilling your fiduciary responsibility. We are going to come for your ass, right? But in this new deal, Redstone, again, would get less cash, right, on hand. And IndieWire notes that this whole thing would cost Skydance about $8 billion, right? So it's basically just a improved version of the original offer. So the idea here is that Skydance would acquire National Amusements first, which again is the company that Shari Redstone owns, the company that has the controlling interest in Paramount. Then Skydance would merge with Paramount Global, right? And the wrap notes that this combined company would be worth about $5 billion. And this is not the first time that Skydance has revised the offer. So Skydance, eventually revised the offer to assuage those shareholder concerns, which include a $3 billion cash infusion. And this was supposedly the final offer until this one that I'm talking about today. So clearly Skydance blinked, playing chicken. And I think this speaks to they must really want Paramount. They maybe need Paramount more than Paramount needs them, if that's somehow even possible. And the deal would still need to be approved by Paramount's independent special committee, which at the time of me doing these notes originally today, it had not been, but put a pin in that, spoiler alert. The Wrap reports that the committee, has agreed to recommend that revised offer, right? So really now Yahoo Finance notes, I was reading an article from them, that really now it's in Shari Redstone's hands, right? Because, of course, this is not the only offer on the table. There's, of course, the Sony Apollo deal with Sony and Apollo Global Management, the private equity firm, kind of like a joint kind of venture to acquire Paramount. Of course, one of my very first stories I ever did on the channel was about Byron Allen, the media mogul, who made an offer earlier this year. At one point, Warner Brothers and David Zaslav were considering like potential merger. That didn't really go anywhere. But this revised offer gives Skydance deal new life. I think the last video I did about this, that the Skydance deal seemed to be fizzling out completely in favor of either the Sony Apollo deal or just Paramount not selling it to anyone and just trying to improve it from within, which always seems skeptical to me, because this whole merger acquisition process is a last resort. So it's like, well, what are you going to do differently that you weren't doing for the past 5 years or whatever, right? And so these revised terms kind of breathe some new life into this deal, right? It's always been Shari Redstone's preferred option. It would keep the media empire together that her father, Sumner Redstone, built over like decades. That includes CBS and MTV and Nickelodeon and all these different assets. And if they can, cross the finish line here, if they can get those Class B shareholders on board, this could very well be the final outcome. That this could be the last time I'm talking about this until it actually becomes a done deal. Which, of course, even if everyone agreed, it would still face regulatory scrutiny from the government. But, so I wrote these notes earlier today, or maybe around 3 o'clock. And then I was kind of looking through some of my notes. And literally just today, Paramount Global and David Ellis and Skydance Media. This is like a direct quote from the Wrap. Paramount Global and David Ellis and Skydance Media have agreed to deal terms on a potential merger, which currently awaits approval from controlling shareholder Shari Redstone, an individual with the matter told the Wrap on Monday. End quote. The LA Times notes that, the formal approval should come soon. That again, I would be shocked if Shari Redstone decides to go with any other option. A big issue here, again, if they do this, is that legal concern. So the New York Times reports that Paramount, part of this deal, which has not been agreed to yet by Skydance, but Paramount wants Skydance to pay for any potential lawsuits, right? Whether it be from the government or from Class B shareholders. And Deadline also notes that, Wall Street seems cautiously optimistic about the deal. It didn't explode or anything, but the stock price did go up slightly on the news of this deal. So, I think everyone is kind of tired of this back and forth. Will they, won't they? And I think Wall Street and Paramount just want to get this thing done. So it's going to be, I really hope this thing gets done. I've enjoyed talking about it, but ultimately I feel like I'm circling the drain here. I don't know what more I can say about this, but I don't know. Only time will tell. Hopefully soon.